Boker Tov. Today's daf is Daf Nun, number 50 in Bava Basra. Now let's refresh our memories. Back on Mem Beis, the Mishnah said that a craftsman or a partner or a sharecropper or a guardian cannot have a chazaka. They can't have a chazaka if it's metaltlin, an immediate chazaka because it's in their pocket, or if it's karka, they can't have a chazaka for 3 years because they're allowed to be there. Everybody knows that a sharecropper's on the field. He can't come after and say, "Oh, I've been here for 5 years or more than 3 years. I bought it for you." No, we know you went in there as a sharecropper. Then the Mishnah said, "V'lo leish chazaka b'nechzishto." A man cannot have a chazaka in his wife's assets. Why? In other words, it's not a presumed ownership or a presumed title because, of course, he's allowed to be in his wife's property. That's the understanding that they have. That's part of the halacha, right? That if it's something written into the ksuba, he has to take care of it. But obviously, he's got to be in the field. And even if it's her nechasim, he's entitled to eat the payros. So there's no chazaka there. That's what the Mishnah said. On yesterday's Gemara in Daf Mem Tes, the Gemara said, "Isn't it obvious?" Of course, you can't come back and say, "Oh, I have a chazaka in the field. We've been married for 40 years. It's mine. I bought it from you a long time ago." No, you're entitled to be there. Everybody, you didn't. That's not proof. That's not a proof of purchase. The fact that you've been working in the field, of course, you're entitled to eat the payros. You can't just say that because of that you own it. It's like, let's say somebody had a second or later marriage in life, and he was in her house. It's her house. And then he lived there, and he says, "Okay, it's mine. I've been here for a few years." It's not a chazaka, because of course you're allowed to be in the house. Same thing, you're allowed to be in the wife's field. That's what the Gemara said. So the Gemara said, well, you know what the answer? We're talking about a case where he said specifically before they got married, I don't want to have any connection. I don't want to take the field. I don't want the nechsim muluk. I don't want anything. That's what he said originally. So in a case like that, even in a case like that, where he said originally, I don't want to take the payros, I don't want to use your field, and then he did, it's still not a chazaka because she was nice to him. They want to have a good relationship, a friendship, a loving marriage. So therefore, she let him stay in the field. So therefore, even if he said, "I'm not going to use the field," that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. Okay, so it's not a chazaka. Man can't say, "I've been on the field for 3 years. I bought it from you," whatever. It's not proof of purchase. What happens if he has a shtar, bill of sale? He has a bill of sale that he bought it from her. That's what's mashma. A chazaka is not a chazaka. But if he has a bill of sale that she sold to him, it would be good. That's what the Gemara said yesterday. Mashma harayesh. If he had proof, either witnesses or bill of sale, that would be good. But that's also not good. Why? Why? Because we've learned elsewhere that if you bought a field from a husband and then you had the wife countersign it also, it's not a good sale. You know why? She just countersigned it. Let's say he sold her field. He's entitled to use her field while he's married to her. Now, what's the idea there? That it's her field. Let's say she got it.
Is he entitled
to sell it? So he could sell it, so to speak, on the condition that if she dies, he inherits her, and then it would be a good sale. But let's say he sells it under those conditions, and then she countersigns it. She also writes a bill of sale, not a sale. You know why? Because she just did it because I don't want to make a fight with my husband. I wanted to make a nice atmosphere in the house, so I agreed to it, but I didn't really mean it. So even the question the Gemara asks is, Mishnah says you can't make a chazaka. Okay, but a bill of sale proof would be good. Even a bill of sale is not good because she could always say, "I only signed it to make him happy. I didn't do it." So the Gemara says, well, no, that's only speaking about a case where the fields that she signed over were fields that he really was obligated to give her as part of the ksuba. But let's say she got some inherited fields, the real nechsim muluk that she got later on. While they were married 20 years. One day, a great uncle died and left her a field. In a case like that, so there you might say, maybe that's not a good, that would be a good sale because that's not something that was specified in the ksuba that he owes to her, that he can't, just sell it on his own, cavalierly sell her property that belongs to her. So over here you might say, so that's what the Gemara said on Daf Nun, near the top. Okay, you know what? If nechsim muluk, enochanami, we said that if he agreed up front that he doesn't want to use it, even if he agreed up front that he's not going to use her payros, still he cannot make a chazaka in that. That's not a chazaka. That's what the Mishnah said. A husband cannot make a chazaka on his wife's assets, but if there was a bill of sale, then that would be a good sale. if he had put a bill of sale showing that he sold it, that he bought it. If he bought it from her, that means not just a chazaka that he used it, but he actually had proof that he bought it from her. That would be good. Says the Gemara. The Gemara said on the 5th line of the page, I'm reviewing what we learned yesterday. Amar Meir said that even if a husband and wife sold an nechs maluk, it's not a sale. It's not a sale, right? Because whatever the reasons, we'll see why he said that, but it's not a sale. So therefore, you might say, what if he has a bill of sale that he bought it from her? It's meaningless. Again, the Mishnah says you can't make a chazak, and your wife says it's mashma that you could buy it. You had proof that you bought it, it's good. Even if you bought it, it's not good. Gemara says no. A maimer is only speaking about if he sold the field and then he died, she could take the field away because she really owns it. He only has the rights to eat the peros, but she really takes away. Or let's say she sold it. She doesn't have the right to sell it either because he's entitled to eat the peros. She sold it on the assumption that maybe she'll survive him, or maybe that she'll die, or that she'll survive him, but then she died. The husband could take it away because the husband inherits the field from her. In other words, he's like the first purchaser. He has the first lien. If a man's married to his wife, he's the first lien. So even though she owns the field, he only has the right to pay it, but he's the first lien. So if she sold it and then she died, he inherits it. So therefore, he's like the first purchaser. So over there, and that's why Maimer said that if a husband and wife who sold the field, it's not a good sale. That's maybe where he sold it and then he died, or she sold then she died, that the other spouse, the surviving spouse, can come take it away. The Gemara says we're about 7-8 lines down in the picture. So if a woman sold this in Mulug and then she died, the husband can take it away from the kuchos. But if they both sold it together, they both agreed, they both sold the field together, or he bought it from her. Suddenly she sold it to him. Maybe it would be a good sale. So maybe that's what we're speaking about over here. Again, what are we looking for? We're looking for a case where it's not a chazaka if he took his wife's field, that he's there 3 years doesn't mean anything because she let him stay there. But if he had a bill of sale, it would be good. What do you mean? Even if there's a bill of sale, it doesn't mean much, right? And Maimer said if a husband and wife sell the field, bill of sale doesn't mean because she just signed on it to make him feel good. Gemara says no. If it's nichsei maluk and they both agree, then it doesn't feel good. She agreed to it. She said up front, yeah, let's sell it. Or she sold it to him. She sold it to him. That shows that she's not makbid. So in a case like that, and he's only makbid, let's say if he sold something that he owned, he was meshubah to her, it was something into the ksubah, it was something that he's going to have to pay her. And she says, okay, I did him a favor because I didn't want to make a fuss. But if it's her nechassim, she could sell it. So that's what I may be speaking about. So again, that's the case in our Mishnah where a chazaka, it's not. You can't just say, it's not proof of purchase that I was there for 3 years on the field if he was on his wife's field. But if he bought it from her, then it would be good proof. Or Ibai Sema, this is where we said we'll start from today. This is where yesterday's Gemara took you up to. Ibai Sema, Ameimer Damakar Blazer. The truth is, our Mishnah really says that you cannot make a chazak on your wife's property, but a bill of sale would be good. Ameimer says that a husband and wife who sell a field, it's not a sale. Ameimer goes with a particular shita who holds that shutfin can't sell a field. Shutfin can't sell a field. Why? Because this is what his argument is. He argues that since there's shutfin in the field, Rashbam explains about 10 lines from the bottom of the page. When they sold it together, right, that's meaningless. Even if she sold it to her husband, it's not a good sale. Why? Our Mishnah says that it should be a good sale if you have a bill of sale, right? Why? Hosek Blazer says that you learn up Sukkim that something that belongs to Shutfin, meaning what sense Shutfin? Not regular Shutfin who own a field together, but where one owns the field and one has the rights to use the payros. In a case like that, they can't sell it, even if they sell it together. They can't sell it because neither one has, let's call it, exclusive ownership of the property. In a regular shutfin who own, let's say, a house or a field together, they both, so to speak, own the whole thing. If they sell it, each will get half the money if they're 50-50 partners. But it's considered they each own the whole thing. Over here, where one owns the field and one has the rights to the payros, the one who owns the field doesn't have the rights to the payros. The husband has the rights to the payros. The wife owns it. In a case like that, you can't sell it. That's what Ameimer said. In other words, our Mishnah doesn't hold that way. Our Mishnah says that if he bought the field from her, he could buy the field from her if she has proof. Even if you get permission, it doesn't work. Right.
There's two people.
One owns that. He says you can't do that. It's not a sale. It's not a valid sale because neither one has exclusive rights to it. If in a case like that, if he sold the rights back to her, and then she owned the whole thing, right? Then yeah. But in a regular case where one owns this and one owns that, cases like that, they don't each have exclusive ownership of the whole thing. It's not a good sale. That's why Maimer says it, but our Mishnah doesn't hold that way. Our Mishnah says that no, a husband cannot have a chazaka in his wife's property. The fact that he's there for 3 years is not proof of purchase. But if he had a real proof of purchase, like a bill of sale or Adim, that would be good. Our Maimer says that wouldn't be good either. Why? Abila same Maimer don't make Rabbi Lazar. Where did Rabbi Lazar say? The tiny case like this. Amochas Abdo. Let's say you sell your Eved Kanani. You sell Reuben sold his Eved Kanani. Reuben Eved Kanani sold it to Shimon, and he made a deal. Pasiki Moshe Shloshim Yom. He said Reuben owns the Eved totally, and he sold it to Shimon. But he says you own the body, you own the Eved, but I still have 30 days rights to use it. There's a 30-day grace period, and I have exclusive rights to use him for the next 30 days. Let's say he sold to him on January 1st. And he said, okay, for the month of January, the Eved is mine. His usage is mine. You own him, but I'm usage. Now, what happens then? Now, let's go up to the side. In Mishpatim, the Torah tells us that if you have an Eved Kanani or a Shifra Kananis, and you kill him, he's a half a Jew, right? A Shifra Kananis is like a half a Jew. Mitzvah's like a woman. You kill him, you're chayav misa. Let's murder anybody else. However, if you kill them and he lasts 24 hours, it says Yoma Yomayim, which teaches us 24 hours, then you're not chayav misa for that. You're a bad guy, but if you didn't knock out his tooth or eye, in which case you'd go free. But if you killed him, but he lasted 20, see, normally if you kill somebody, even if they linger for a year, but they died because of your injury, chayav misa, even if they died later on. But in Eved Kanani, the pasuk says specifically, if he lasts 24 hours, you're not chayav. Okay, that's if he's your Eved. What happens if you only have use of him? Like this case where Reuben sold the Eved to Shimon. Reuben sold the Eved to Shimon, and he said, okay, you own him, but I'm using him for January. Now, middle of January, Reuben killed him, or Shimon killed him, either one. What's the halacha? Do they also get off because they're a slave? Right? There's a kula here, right? That normally if you kill a slave, you're chayav misa. You're chayav misa, right? If your shore kills a slave, you're chayav 30 shekels, it's a knas and all that. But if you kill a slave, a Jewish slave, an Eved Kanani, he's not really, he's half Jewish, let's call it, you're chayav misa. Unless you're the owner, in which case you have a 24-hour, this one say grace period. No, it's more than 24 hours. It's really, if you last over 24 hours, you're not chayav. If you last 10 years, it's for sure okay. But you're only chayav if he dies within 24 hours. Okay. So Reuben sold the Eved to Shimon, and he said, I'm going to use him still. Reuben's going to use him for the month of January. Shloshim Yom. Rav Meir said, Harishon yeshna b'din yoma yomayim neishu tachtav. Rav Meir said, he says 30 days. January, we know, it's 31 days, right? I don't want to go into that. Just listening to all kinds of shiur about the 3 weeks, about the significance of 21 days and the 42 Arei Miklat and all the numbers of 21. And I said, think about it. The 3 weeks is really 3 weeks in a day. It's really 22 days, right? Because the first day Shavuos of Tammuz and the last day to Shavuot, it's always on the same day of the week, indicating that it's really 22 days. It's not 21 days, right? It's 22 days. Anyway, it's close enough. It's 3 weeks. Any case, they don't call it the 3 weeks in a day, right? They call it the 3 weeks, right? But it's not like a Ser Simei Tshuva, which is really just 10 days, right? Okay. Any case, so what's the halacha in a case like that? Where Reuben sold the Eved to Shimon, sold it to him, but he says, you can't use him for the first 3 days. First 3 days is mine. He belongs to you, but I get the use of it. And now one of those two guys kills the Eved, but he lasts 24 hours. Does he get off the hook because of that 24-hour grace? Right? It's not 24-hour grace. Usually 24 hours, the grace usually means that you have extra time. Here we're saying you have minimal time in 24 hours. If he dies right away within 10 hours, you're chayav misa. But if he lasts a day or more, 24 hours, then you're off the hook. Who's off the hook? Reuben or Shimon? Or neither? or both. So we have 4 opinions. Reuben, Shimon, neither or both. 4 opinions. What are the opinions? Rav Meir Omer, Harishon Yeshna B'din Yomei Yomayim. The first guy, Reuben, has the din Yomayim because he's in his employ right now. He's in his service. So the first guy, right? First guy has, because it says Tachtov in the pasuk and it says Kaspo, right? So he says, well, he's working for you now, so you get the dispensation, you get the hakula that if you kill him and he lasts 24 hours, you're off the hook. Okay, so the first one, the second one, he's not in Shimon. Shimon has no rights to use him right now. So as far as Shimon's goes, he's like a stranger. Stranger killed Michai Misa. He's not working for him right now. So for Kinyan Paris, the Kinyan Paris that Reuben has, he's entitled to the fruits, the usage of the Eved, even though he doesn't own him. He doesn't have title to the Eved, but he has usage. So that usage is like Kinyan Guf. That's Rav Meir's opinion. Rav Yehuda, the second opinion, the second guy, Shimon, who bought him, he has the kula of if he killed him in the last 24 hours, he's off the why? Meshu Kaspo. It's his money. It's his title. He has title to it. He belongs to him. Reuben's not off the hook. Reuben's chayv. She'ena kaspa. He doesn't belong to him. Except for Kinyan Pesach, Kinyan Yomi. Rav Yehuda holds that the Kinyan that the Reuben has in the Eved, that he can use them. He has usage of them right now. That's not Kinyan Aguf. So he's not kaspo. Okay. So according to Rav Meir, who gets the kula? Reuben. According to Rav Yehuda, who gets the kula? Shimon, right? Rav Yossi Omer, Shneim Yeshna B'din Yomayim. They're both off the hook. If either Reuben or Shimon kills the Eved and he lasts 24 hours, they're both off the hook. Why? Pardon? Yeah, no, either one. I know only one could kill him, but either one is off the hook. Either one is off the hook. According to Rav Meir, only Reuben is off the hook if he kills him, but Shimon is not. According to Rav Yehuda, only Shimon is off the hook. Reuben is not off the hook. According to Rav Yossi, either one who kills him is off the hook. Shneim Yeshim B'din Yomayim. Zevem Neishu Tachtav. Reuben, because he's working for him now, he's in his service. Zevem Neishu Kaspo. Okay, so which one is it? What about the Kinyan of Paris? Is that Kinyan of Tami? Umasafkale, Kinyan of Paris, Kinyan of Tami, Ilav Kinyan of Tami. He's not sure. Is Reuben's ownership of the service, does that mean that he's the Kinyan of Guf and he owns him and Shimon therefore does not? Or do you say Kinyan of Paris is not Kinyan of Guf Tami, therefore Shimon's there? He's not sure. And since you're not sure, Suffolk Nevashas Lahekel, we know we learned from Sukkim in Sanhedrin, right? We learned from Sukkim that the Veshafta way, the Beit Sila way, that if there's any reason to let him off the hook, we let him off the hook, and therefore you don't kill him. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. So what do we have? Is Reuben off the hook? Shimon off the hook? Both of them are off the hook. Whoever kills him is off the hook. Then we have Rabbi Lazar's opinion. That's what we're going to be considering. Rabbi Lazar Omer, Shneim Eina B'din Yomayim. Neither one is off the hook. Neither one is off the hook. Either Reuben or Shimon who kills the Eved, they're both Chayiv Misa, even if he lasts 24 hours. Zel Lefi She'en Tachtav. Shimon because he's not working for him now, and Reuben because it doesn't belong to him. My time Rav Lazar. What's Rav Lazar's reason? The pasuk says, "Lo yukam." The pasuk is over there. If you kill the Eved and he doesn't last 24 hours, then now come, we take revenge on you. You're going to be killed because you committed murder. Over here it says though, if he lasted 24 hours. Then we won't take revenge on you. In other words, you won't be killed as a murderer. Pasuk says, "Lo yukam ki kaspahu." He belongs to him. Who kaspa? Lo yukam ki kaspahu. Rashi says either it's because it doesn't say kesef, or the whole words is extra. Ki kesef, ki kaspahu is extra. It's redundant. We already know you're not going to be killed because it doesn't belong to you, right? If it doesn't belong to you, it's obvious if it doesn't belong to you that you're not off the hook. So he says kaspaham yuchalo. It's your asset, your money, or your asset, which is exclusive to you. So Rabbi Lazar holds neither Reuben nor Shimon has exclusivity on this Eved. Reuben doesn't own him anymore, and Shimon doesn't have rights to use him. Therefore, neither one is the exclusive owner. Agreed that if Reuben sold the Eved lock, stock, and barrel to Shimon, then Shimon is the exclusive owner. Just like you said before, if the husband would sell his rights in the fruits or give his rights and fruits to the wife, then she could sell it. But otherwise, he can't sell it. So the reason why we're trying to explain a maimer on the 5th line on Nun Amud Aleph A husband and wife who sold nechse milug, it's meaningless. You know why? Because neither one has exclusive ownership, and therefore they can't sell it. Now, I would say that doesn't mean that shutfin in general can't sell a field. Obviously, shutfin, because they both have exclusive ownership. Meaning they each really own the whole field. That's how we always explain partnerships in halacha. It's not like I own one half and you own the other half. We each own the whole half, except we're only entitled, in the case of a sale, we're only entitled to get half the money because we only own, we only have the rights to take half the money, but we each, like, so to speak, own the whole thing. That's why you have halacha that in halacha, shutfin might of it. In common law, that wouldn't be the case. If two partners owned a house and one sold it on his own without the signature of the other guy, it wouldn't be a good sale. But in halacha, if two people owned a house or a business or whatever, and one sold it, shutef might of it. He has rights to do whatever he wants, and the other guy's following unless he protested at the time and said we're not selling it. But if he sold it on his own, he could sell it. So therefore, the Mishnah stands. The Mishnah says that a husband cannot have a chazak in his wife's nichse mulug. Yes, even if he refused it up front, he says, I'm not going to use it. But then he took the fruits there for 3 years. He can't say I have a chazaka because she let him there. That's obvious. But if he bought it from her, it would be a good sale because he has proof that he bought it from her. So that would be good. He has no chazaka, but if he has proof, either Adam or Shtar, that he bought it from her, that would be good. We said even if she signed it, she's just doing it to make him feel good. That's if he sold his own property, but not nechse milug that weren't written into the ksuba that she got later on. That's not an excuse there. So if she sold it, really good. A Maimer says no, she can't sell it to him because neither one has exclusivity.
Yeah, the halacha is the last one, right?
That's what the Rambam Seichen there. Yeah, Rambam says Shnei Man Bid Yom Yamayim. I'm not sure. Presumably that's the halacha, but even if it's not, our answer is that a Maimer goes like him. A Maimer's answer is that Maimer will go like him, but they will certainly disagree with the Mishnah. Okay, because the Mishnah says you can't make a chazaka, but you could have, if you have title, you could. So that same phrase of the Mishnah. No, we're talking about if one person did it. But if either one, the question is if either one killed him, if either one killed the Eved, either Reuben or Shimon, are they both off the hook? Meaning, not that if either Reuben killed the Eved, he's off the hook. And if either Shimon, or if Shimon killed him, he's off the hook. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Rabbi Lazar says that they're both on the hook. They're both on the, because the pasuk's only speaking. Pasuk only lets you off the hook if you had exclusivity, and here you didn't. But it means if either one killed him, would Reuben be off the hook? According to the first opinion of Yehuda, only if Reuben killed him is Reuben off the hook. But if Shimon killed him, Shimon would not be off the hook. According to Yehuda, it's the reverse. According to Rabbi Yossi, either one who kills him is off the hook. According to Rabbi Lazar, either one who kills him is on the hook. Okay, so now the same phrase that we dealt with for the last blot of lo ish chazaka b'nifseish, that a man cannot have a chazaka in his wife's assets, or his wife's nechasim, and we said specifically that's like nechshem v'lug. Question is, b'amarav isha eishasish tzricha limchos. A wife of a husband must make a machal, must make a protest. Now, what do you mean must make a protest? Why do you have a chazaka for 3 years? Why does the whole idea of chazaka? Chazaka, we said, is proof of purchase, right? I bought it from you. I have a claim. I bought it from you. I got it somehow, or you gave it to me, and I lost the bill of sale or the bill of matana. I lost it, but I've been here for 3 years. So you should have protested. And you have to protest. If you're the owner and you're planning on keeping it, you see me here working your field, should have known about it. Word would pass around. If there'd be no communication, we said that's not a chazaka. Only if you knew about it and you didn't protest. Here we see Rav says she has to protest. Why does she have to protest? If you say that a husband cannot make a chazaka in his wife's assets, that means she doesn't have to protest because obviously she let him use it. So what do you mean she has to protest? That he could make the chazaka. The man, who does she have to protest against? We're talking about, does she have to protest against a stranger, somebody who's not her husband? If somebody else takes over. Rav himself says, you can't make the chazaka. Rashbam says, since it's machzikim, we're talking about plural, different people, not the husband. Otherwise, it would be singular. And also the fact that he's not called. Right, Rajbam says. Rajbam says like this: if we're talking about the husband, that's like the Mishnah. The Mishnah already said that a husband cannot make a chazak on his wife's asset. So what do we mean over here? We say if we're talking about somebody else making a chazak, nobody else can make a chazak in a wife's assets. Why? Because she could always say, "I didn't protest. I thought my husband was taking care of these affairs." Right? She has a husband, she says, you made a chazaka in her nechsim, but it's somebody else, not her husband. It's not a chazaka. Why? The reason she says, I didn't protest because I thought my husband was taking care of it. So if we're talking about somebody else, Rav himself, so you can't make a chazaka nechseish, somebody else can. So we're speaking about maybe the husband. That she has to make a macha against her husband. That's mashma that he could make a chazaka. The whole point we've been discussing is that a husband cannot make a chazaka in his wife's asset. The last plot said, yeah, proof of purchase, if he has a bill of sale or Adam, yeah, that would work in the case of nechsim elul. But otherwise, the chazaka doesn't work. What do you mean the chazaka doesn't work? Because she's not going to protest. She just lets him use it. So here, what do you mean? Rav says she has to protest. Must be the protest. So what do you mean she has to protest? She has to protest sounds like he could make a chazaka. We're speaking about the husband. Yes. Normally she doesn't have to protest, and it's not a chazaka. Here we're speaking on Shechafer Babar Shechem Mowers. Here we're speaking about we did something, he abused the property. He didn't use the property in the normal manner to plant, harvest, etc., and use the field, but he was digging ditches there where pits and ditches and caves where a field that normally they don't have that. He was not using it in a normal way. If he wasn't using it in a normal way, then she should have protested. That's the point. She doesn't protest normally. If he's using it the regular way, she doesn't have to protest, and it's not a chazaka. Here, where we say, Rav says she has to protest, that's if he's using it in an unnormal way. Right? If it's not normal, then she should have protested. In fact, she didn't protest. That means that she accepted that right away. Talking about damaging the field, there's no chazaka for damages. You can't claim that you went around that made a chazaka by damaging the field. There's no such thing. So what do we mean by that? You can't say I bought it, right? By digging it, stuff like that. Because a chazaka is only if you use it in the normal way. If you use it in an abnormal way, that's not a chazaka. That's why it's not a chazaka at all, right? You didn't use it in the normal way. That's why I didn't protest. I only protest if you, so to speak, show ownership. But if you're stam a mazik, that's not showing ownership. So you can't make a chazaka there either. So how can you say that over here it's speaking about that a wife must protest her husband's usage? Why does she have to protest if he can't make a chazaka? Oh, it's speaking about where he abused the field. He used it in an abnormal way. And that's why she has to protest. But that's not you can't make a chazaka there anyway, because ain't chazaka n'sakim. Ema ain't din chazaka n'sakim. No, it means like this. There's no din of chazaka at all, right? Meaning it doesn't mean that you can't make a chazaka. It means there's no din of chazaka when it comes to damaging, because even if you're there at all, that doesn't show chazaka. Ain't din chazaka. You don't need 3 years. Means no, that doesn't mean that you can't make a chazaka. It means that there's no din chazaka of 3 years. Because you know what it means? It means that if you're damaged on my field, I should have said something right away. Normally, if you're on my field, and I have 3 years, if you use it normally, I have 3 years to protest. The first year, the second year, I don't mind. Okay, you're going to use it. Maybe you're just there temporarily. I don't mind. But if you damage my field, I should say something right away. Right? If somebody uses, you have rights to use your items. You don't mind using them. You don't mind if you use them. Okay, fine. Let him use it for a while. But if he damages it, you should say something right away. That's what it means over here. Ain't din chazak n'zak, and there's no din of 3 years for chazak for damaging. Damaging, if you abused it, you should have said something right away. If she saw him abusing the field, and she didn't say anything, it's a chazaka right away. Not that it's not even a chazaka after 3 years. In our mission, we're talking about if he uses her field in a normal way, it's not a chazaka. But what did Rav say? She has to protest. What do you mean she has to protest? Why does she have to protest if it's not a chazaka? The answer is speaking about where he abused the field. Abusing the field, there's no chazaka there. She says, no, there's no din chazaka, there's no din of 3 years. But it's a chazaka right away, because if you abuse the field, I should have said something. I didn't say anything because I agreed that it's yours. So that's one shot. When Rav says she has to make a machol, she has to make a protest, is where he's abusing it. If he didn't abuse it, then she wouldn't say anything. She allows him to use it. Or you could say, Rav Mari, you say this business about chazaka and azaka. It's not that he gets a chazaka right away if he abuses it, because she should have said something immediately. And chazaka means for Mari, Amr Bakutra with smoke, or Zidra Amr Besakise. There means this: if somebody is causing me damage because they made a big fire, they made a garbage heap right next to my house, and they're burning stuff there all day. Even if he's there for 10 years, that's not a chazaka. For a few years, I could take it. I can't take it anymore. That's what it means. You don't have a chazaka, you're allowed to damage or put up a bathroom right next to my house or something like that, an outhouse next to my house. That's what it means, ein chazaka l'zaka, that when you're doing damage to somebody, there's no union of 3 years. So ein chazaka l'zaka could mean that it's a chazaka right away if you're damaging my field, right? That's one answer. Or you could say ein chazaka l'zaka just means in general that no matter how long you do it, you could do it for 20 years. I could say, listen, I didn't protest, but I can't take it anymore now. So you can't get a chazaka there. So that's the business about the chazaka. But so that's what chazaka means there. But it's speaking about where he did abuse the field, he abused it abnormally. In a case like that, she should have protested. But in a case where he's just using the field regularly, then the Mishnah stands that she's not, she doesn't have to protest, and therefore he has no chazaka. Rabbi Yosef Amar la'olam ba'acher. Going back, we said, Rav Ashi says, Isha tzricha limchos, we said who? If it's somebody else, a wife would protest against somebody else because she could say, I thought my husband should have protested it. So we're speaking about the husband. She doesn't have to protest. How does she have to protest against her husband? We said before that it's not a chazaka. He could always use the field as long as he wants, because that's normal for a wife to allow her husband to use it. No, if he abused the field, he dug ditches there, he did things abnormally. Now we're saying no. When Rav said originally that a woman has to make a machah, doesn't mean against her husband. Against her husband, there's no chazaka there. He can't make a chazaka. She doesn't have to protest against her husband. Makes machah against somebody else. So somebody else. Why can't she say, I thought my husband was going to protest? The person who's on the field, the occupant said, the occupant used the field for about a year while the husband was alive. Then the husband died. After the husband died, she gets her field back. She should have protested now, right? It's her husband now. When the husband's alive, she's not expected to protest. That's what we said before, that she's the wife of a husband. If the husband's there, you can't make a chazaka. I'll say, why didn't she protest? Because I thought my husband would protest. But if the husband died after a year, and then the guy was there for 3 more years, she should have protested during that time. Migadi boy Omer, the occupant could say, I bought it from you. After your husband died, I bought it from you. And I've been here for 3 years. That's a chazaka. When he says he was there for a year during her husband's time, right? So the husband have the right to sell it? He had the right to sell it as far as the payers go, right? But he didn't really own it yet. He only owned it on the condition that her wife's going to predecease him. So the occupant says, listen, if I wanted to have a meal, I could have said, I just bought it from you after your husband died. I've been here 3 years already. So when he says, you sold it to your husband, he sold it to me. When I bought it from your husband, he claimed that he bought it from you. And then I was there afterwards for 3 years. I'm claiming I bought it from your husband, who sold it to me, with the condition that you were going to die before him, but you sold it to him, and you really did sell it to him, right? I bought it from him with the understanding that not just that he sold something that he didn't have the right to sell. You actually sold him the field. And I bought it from him, and I've been here for 3 years. So therefore, I could have said I just bought it from you. So when I say I bought it from him, normally you say you bought it from Yet, but maybe you didn't protest because the husband had the right to sell the payros all along. So maybe you say, since he had the right to sell the payros, so she's never going to protest. He always had the right to eat the payros, so maybe I should listen. No, that's what you might say. Kamashma, we say no, that yes, he had the right to sell the payros while she was alive, right? Right, but after he died, it reverted to her. Now there was nobody else that had the rights to the payros. She owns the field and the payros, and if he was there 3 years, he could have said, "I bought it from you." What are you going to say? You didn't protest because I used it while your husband was there? Yeah, but your husband died. So therefore, I could say I bought it from you after your husband died. So when I tell you the truth that I bought it from him and you who bought it from you, believe me on that. I have a good claim because I could have said I bought it from you directly.
That's not a good claim. Said that if the husband said he bought it from her and said he didn't do anything.
No.
So that claim that he bought it, that the husband bought it,
right.
and the person now claiming Chazaka bought it from the husband.
That's not a claim
because the husband can't buy it from the woman.
Right.
We say
no. We said the husband.
We say no. She was doing him a favor.
Not by nefsim malug. Not by nefsim malug. That's only she was doing him a favor only in the case of the nechasim that we shivatur in the ksuba, but not nefsim malug. That's what we came out. We said it was speaking about nefsim malug, right? And we said a maimer who said it's not a good sale. Not if you call like Rav Lazar that says that they can't sell in partnership. The first answer of the Gemara at the end of what we learned yesterday was that if she sold it and if he sold it and he died, that she could take it away. Or if she sold it and she died, he could take it away. But if they both sold it together, or if she sold it to him, it is a good sale by nechsim malug. That was the first answer we said. The second answer, according to Maimer, maybe it won't go like our Mishnah. But the first answer we said was that if she sold it to him, it's a good sale. So he bought it from the husband. The husband bought it from her, and then this guy bought it from the husband, and he was there 3 years. He could have said, "I bought it from you directly. I don't have the star anymore. I bought it from the husband. I had a star. I bought it from the husband. I had a star. He sold me the field, his rights in the field. He sold it to me, and I bought it. And I bought it from him, and he sold me the field, claiming that he bought it from you. Where are the stars? It's 4 years later. I don't have it anymore. He bought it from you 4 years ago, and then he sold it to me, or 5 years ago. Then he sold it to me, and I've been on the field for 3 years, so I could claim I bought it from you. So where are all the bills of sale? Time has passed, but a proof of purchase it is, because she should have protested during the 3 years after her husband died. So therefore, that's what we're speaking about here. When he said, so what do we come out with? A husband has no rights in his wife's, has no chazaka in his wife's nechsei malug. That's the point. We're talking about nechsei malug. Yes, no. If he has proof that he bought it from her, yes. That's what the Mishnah said, Avram. The Mishnah said there's no chazaka, but a raya, if he has proof, he has edim or a bill of sale, that would be good in the case of nechsei malug. Even according to our Meimar. Okay. And then we said, but Rav said that a wife has to protest. So we said that if I start indicating that a husband has no rights, that a wife has to protest, indicating the right that a husband would have a chazaka if she didn't protest. So we said no. That's only speaking about if he used it abnormally, if he dug ditches and things like that, then she should have protested right away. But if he used it in the normal way, she wouldn't have protested, and therefore he has no chazaka. That's one way to learn. Or like Rav Yosef says, this we say that a wife must protest is to a third party, to an occupant. In which case, in a case where he occupied the field even a year, if he occupied the field after the husband died, see, let's say the husband died, and it's her field now. There's no nefsim malug for the husband. The husband's dead, and this guy is on the field for 3 years, and he claims I bought it from you. Of course, that's a good chazaka because there's no husband over here. But even if he used it while the husband was alive, so you might say, okay, she didn't protest. He used it before. Used it afterwards. No, that's only while the husband was there. He didn't have a chazaka, but even though he used it, even though the occupant used it while the husband was there, but once the husband died and he continued using it for 3 years, that's a good chazaka, and that's why. So again, a husband has no chazaka in his wife's nechsei malug. If he has a bill of sale, that is good. That is good. But if he abused the field and she didn't say anything, then it's a good chazaka. That's a good chazaka. If somebody else uses her field, if she has a husband, that's no chazaka because she can say, I didn't protest because my husband was going to use it. But if the husband's not alive, then it would be good chazaka. Gufa, last line on the page. Omarav, that's what I've said at the beginning. You can't make a chazaka and then a chasam of a wife of a husband. Why? Because she could say, I thought my husband would have protested. I thought he was taking care of our affairs. Dayana Gola, but the judges in the exile, who are that lashon refers to Shmuel and Karna, like the Gemara says, that in Sanhedrin, that Shmuel and Karna say, Machzikin, you can make a chazaka and the assets of a wife of a husband, even if the husband's there, she should have protested. It's not an excuse to say, I didn't protest because my wife, I thought my husband would protest. That's not a good answer. You could make a chazaka. That's what Shmuel and Karna say. Rav. Now Rav himself says halacha kedanego, halacha is like them. So first Rav says you can't make a chazaka in the nechasim of a wife. Why? Because she said, I thought my husband would take care of it. And then the Shmuel and Karna disagree, and Rav says halacha is like them. Omrle, Rav Kana, Rav Asi were Talmidim of Rav said to Rav, did you retract your opinion? Because first you said you can't make a chazaka, Dayana Gold said you can make a chazaka, and then you said the halacha is like them. So, have you retracted from your teaching? He said to them, no, Mistavram. I said, probably. What do I mean, probably? In a case like Rav Yosef said, in a case like Rav Yosef said, where the occupant first occupied it during the husband's life, and then after the husband died, the occupant occupied it for 3 years during the wife's life. In a case like that, there probably would be a chazaka because she should have protested. I was talking about not in all cases. If the husband's there, normally it's not a chazaka, not a chazaka, because I thought I would say the husband could have protested. But in certain cases, in a case like Rav Yosef said, that would be a good chazaka because after the husband died, she should have protested. The Gemara says Kid Rav Yosef's case, but Rashi says Rav didn't say I mowed in the cases like Rav Yosef because Rav Yosef lived generations after Rav, so you couldn't have known that Rav Yosef was going to say that. But he meant to say that yes, when I said it, Shmuel and Karna said you could make a chazaka in the nechasim of a wife because it's never an excuse to say I thought my husband would protest. She should have protested. If she didn't, you can make a chazaka. If you have a time, of course, you can say I bought it from you. You didn't say anything for 3 years. That's my proof of purchase. Rav said you can't make that's not a good claim if the husband was alive. So not in all cases, but in certain cases, like the case that Rav Yosef said, he didn't say Rav Yosef because Rav Yosef lived generations later. But in the case like Rav Yosef said, you could make a chazaka in the assets of a wife when you started to occupy it during the husband's life. And certainly if she's not an Eshes Ish, if she's just an Isha, she had no husband, certainly you can make a chazaka there. She should have protested. There was no husband. But even in a case where you started to use it while the husband was alive, and then you had 3 years after the husband died, even in a case like that, that would be a good chazaka because she should have protested. So that's what Rav's saying. Rav says you can't make a chazaka while she's married, but after she's married, after she's widowed or divorced, whatever, if she's not married to him anymore, and you have for 3 years, that would be a good chazaka. All right, we'll pick it up here from the 2 dots tomorrow, Mitzvah. Have a good day, everybody.